Hey guys, Jay here. Welcome to Models and Memories Weekly, episode 108. Models and Memories is a show about nothing and is filmed in front of a live studio audience. This is a show where I talk about my painting, modeling, and working experiences from the week. Now you might be thinking to yourself, Jay, you put out 3 videos a week. Now, could I possibly have more to say? Well, I do, and here goes. This week, I got some really fun painting done, and I may have seen some models that I want to buy. But first, the models that I painted. I am well on track to do my idea of finishing at least one Fallout unit a week so that I can actually get through my Fallout pile of shame. And I painted the Assaultrons. And I haven't played much Fallout 4, so I didn't actually know that these existed. I wasn't really even planning on buying these. They actually come in the box with the Securitrons, and I really wanted Securitrons because I love the robots and I kind of want to build like Robco Industries and have Mr. Handsies and Mr. Gutsies and have all of the fun robots. But these are really nice models. They're fun little feminine robots with monstrous hands and creepy weird faces, and I really like them. Like, since I don't know them from Fallout 4, I feel like I'm not that into games that are model agnostic because I want to get kind of lost in a new world and go on a new adventure, but I want someone else to make the adventure for me and then take me on it. I don't want to have to do all the work myself. But I think these would definitely be my choice if I was playing a model agnostic game. Like I want to play the little robot babes with the chainsaw hands. These are really fun models. I'm also continuing to experiment with my AK interactive paints, where I limit myself only to the paints that come in the starter set. They are really nice. They blend really well, and I found that glazing is really easy with them because you can really thin the paint before the paint just starts to fall apart. And by fall apart, I mean just turn into water and it gets runny. Like I can get that paint really far down. And one thing that I'm finding is I do a lot of glazing because I'm not great at making colors. Like I started out with all of these miniatures, painting them black and white, and then finding that I didn't really like the black and white look, and then I glazed blue onto them, and just that subtle tinting of blue turned them into nice robots as opposed to just zenithaled miniatures. So I really like how these miniatures turned out, and I've actually already started work on some Nightkin. The Nightkin, one of the greatest things in all of Fallout. I don't know if there's only in Fallout New Vegas. I mean, technically they were in Fallout 1 because they were the super mutants who were working with the Master. But I just love the Nightkin. They've got that blue color to their skin because they're like being poisoned by the stealth boys that they're constantly using. It's great. It's great that there's a miniatures game that has all of these awesome things from this video game that I absolutely love. But yeah, the Assaultrons, I'm really excited to play with these. I played a game with Sean and he won because he brought Liqerise, but I think I brought too many really big, really points intensive units. And he was playing the Legion, and so he had pretty much only close combat guys. And so now I have some close combat guys. So hopefully these can gum up his guys and stop them from getting to me while my big stompy robots, or maybe Nightkin, can actually clean up and start to kill off some of his units. I still don't know how I'm gonna take down Liqerise. It is a incredibly powerful, tough miniature, which it should be because Liqerise is like the hardest boss in the entire game. So he probably should have some pretty intense rules to go along with it. But man, it's gonna feel good when I finally bring it down. Like when I finally brought down his ATSTs in Star Wars Legion, I didn't win the game, but my Luke Skywalker cut his ATST right in half, and it felt so good to finally see one of those giant things removed from the battlefield. Leave a comment below, what is your nemesis model? Like what is something that your opponent has that comes to the gaming table far too often, and all you want to do is kill it and get rid of it and just see the smile leave their face as that miniature finally meets its end. And speaking of things that brought on a lot of nostalgia, I saw that there is a new starter set for X-Wing with the Imperials and Rebels. Now, X-Wing 1 might still be, and probably always will be, my favorite tabletop war game of all time. It is an amazingly fun, tight little skirmish game. We actually played X-Wing 1 a couple of weeks ago just because I still have all of the stuff for it, and the rules are so simple. Like I've taught so many people how to play X-Wing, and it's just move, shoot, move, shoot, move, shoot. It's so simple and it's so much fun. And I remember getting a call from my friend years and years ago, like 8 or 9 years ago. And he's like, hey, we're gonna play this game X-Wing. You wanna know? Like, I will be there in an hour. I drove to Toys R Us, I drove to Target, I drove to Walmart. I couldn't find this stuff anywhere. Finally, I went to Barnes and Noble and they had everything. And I blew my whole paycheck. I came in with armfuls of miniatures for this game I had never played before, but man, it was the best of times. We would play until like 1 o'clock in the morning, and then I would pack up. I'd have to drive Sean home, and then I would have to get to work. I wake up at like 5 to get to work the next day. It was glorious. It was an absolute glorious time. And this new starter set definitely piqued my interest a little bit. It's not a 2-player starter set though. There is a 2-player starter set for X-Wing 2.0, sometimes called 2.5 because there's been a recent kind of big change to the list building aspect of the game. There's a set for the Rebels and a set for the Empire. Now these sets are pretty expensive. When the price hit me, I was a little bit shocked at $75 for 4 ships. Although I guess that's not crazy because when I was playing almost a decade ago, each ship was about $15. So 4 ships would have been $60. And now, I guess 10 years later, there's been a little bit of inflation. And so you can get $80 for 4 ships. But it's a good spread of ships. The Rebels, you get 2 A-Wings, a Y-Wing, my personal favorite, and an X-Wing. I don't know if I've ever actually flown an X-Wing, although I own a couple. But man, do I know about flying Y-Wings. They're so great. They have horrible movement. They have horrible shooting, although their turrets could get pretty good. And my favorite card in all of Star Wars, and it's so much fun because I actually used the card art in Star Wars Legion for an upgrade, but Unhinged Astromech. Unhinged Astromech is the greatest thing of all time. It lets you treat all Speed 3 maneuvers as green maneuvers. And so all of a sudden I can be doing U-turns. I can be doing these crazy maneuvers. Well, sort of as crazy as you can get with like a bus of a model. But the Y-Wings, they could take a punch. They were wonderful, wonderful. I think I have like 5. They're excellent, excellent little ships. I was planning on getting into X-Wing 2. I have the conversion sets that they sold at the beginning of the edition change. And I really do respect all of the changes that they made. I think that they made really, really good changes, but I think the move to 2nd edition kind of killed the game. It's not a dead game. Tons and tons of people were playing it. There was a huge tournament at Adepticon. But I think it really did split the player base because number one, it was a lot of new people who had never played war games before. Like it wasn't all just 40K people who understand that there's gonna be edition changes because of, I don't know, reasons. But people weren't prepped for it. They didn't really understand what was going on. And the game was still so good. I mean, the big flaw really was that there had been years of new ships coming out and they all were much, much better than the original couple of figs that came out when the game actually launched. And so nobody was flying X-Wings, nobody was flying naked TIE fighters. And so the new edition change rebalanced everything and made every single unit in the game playable. It was just kind of a change that a lot of people weren't really asking for. I mean, I was having the time of my life. I would buy like 3 copies of every single ship that came out just so that I could try every single list under the sun. I've never played the same X-Wing list more than once because I always was just tinkering and tailoring these lists to see if I could just beat Sean. Little Sean's story. So one time he was losing and I never won. I played for this game for years. It was so much fun. I never won a game. I was winning. I was beating him. He conceded. He gave up. And I didn't get to finish the game and kill off all of his stuff. It was Sean. So yeah, for the Imperials, you get 2 TIE fighters, a TIE Advance X1, and the TIE Bomber, which was really, really garbage when I was playing X-Wing. I don't know if it's still garbage in Kill Team 2. But it is a really, really fun model. In fact, my favorite model would be the TIE Punisher, the TIE Bomber that has 6 like compartments. It's just a really, really cool model, and I really, really wish I could buy it for Kill Team 2. I don't know if they actually have released it for Kill Team 2 yet, but I have one, and I broke the wing off and lost the wing, so now I've just got this half TIE fighter that's really, really sad to like fly around my bedroom and make little noises. So I want to buy another copy just so that I can have the ship back. But man, X-Wing is the most fun I think I've ever had. It's the greatest game. I've definitely played probably more 40K and Kill Team at this point than X-Wing. And it wasn't my first war game. I had played 6th edition, 7th edition, 8th edition 40K before X-Wing, but man, X-Wing is just a darn good game. It's a very different game. I'm actually really excited for Mantic's Armada because it actually feels very similar. It's just kind of got that move, shoot, move, shoot, move, shoot, and boats are kind of interesting. Like every game I play is duders, but there's something about boats. It's kind of interesting. I'm really, really excited to really dive deep into that game. We've actually put together all the miniatures for it, which we bought like almost all the miniatures for it. So we have a huge, you could call it armada of ships waiting to be played with. And so I'm really, really excited for that. But it's good to see that X-Wing is still moving on. It's still doing great. I do want to try X-Wing 2. Maybe next year at Adepticon, or maybe I'll just go ahead and buy everything and then we'll just get to playing it. It will be sad to finally put my binder out to pasture that has all of my unit cards and upgrades and ships from X-Wing 1. But man, did they get some use. They got some really, really good use. And maybe I'll still always play a good game of X-Wing 1 every now and again. But both of these starter sets look really, really fun. I think they are better than the actual buy this to play the game because it comes with 1 X-Wing and 2 TIE fighters, which is enough to play the game, but not really. Like, how many times are you gonna fly 1 X-Wing versus 2 TIE fighters without like list building and stuff, just playing that scenario over and over and over? I'm sure it's fun, but it's not as much fun as actually having a full company of ships. Oh, and it's the Rebels and the Empire. It's the classic scenario. I think that's another thing that maybe slightly led to the downfall of X-Wing is when they brought in some of the expanded universe stuff and the prequel stuff. It's cool. Like I want those ships, but it also just kind of expands the game a lot where it's not just do you want to be the good guys or the bad guys? Do you want to be the good guys from this universe? Do you want to be the good guys from that universe? Do you want to be this thing from that movie or this thing from that book? You're starting to see some ships that you don't necessarily recognize from any of the movies because not that many people go into the expanded universe Star Wars stuff. I don't know, maybe everything is just not meant to last forever. I don't know, but man, I absolutely love X-Wing and I do miss it. I mean, I play way more war games now, but it was just a special time. It was a very special time in my life. And speaking of even more nostalgia and weirdness, I didn't realize that there was a Judge Dredd miniature war game. Judge Dredd 2000 AD from Rebellion, which I think is also part of Warlord Games, it doesn't, like, I don't think that I want to play the Judge Dredd miniatures game. It's very similar to some other things I'm playing, but there's a Judge Dredd miniatures game. Really, I was on Facebook and I was scrolling and all of a sudden I saw the Judge Dredd speeder from the comic books. And holy cow, the Justice Department Pat Wagon is a beautiful, beautiful thing. It's just the silliest, weirdest little, like literally policeman's badge shaped vehicle that has a cannon and machine gun turrets on top and this silly little eagle face. It's the greatest thing ever. And I almost want to get it just to have it around. Like to just have it on the shelf. And it's like, is that the thing from Judge Dredd? It's the greatest thing. And it also awakened me to an idea I had, or actually an idea that I was planning on stealing from a long time ago. I was looking at the Judge Dredd miniature that is available, and it is the classic comic book Judge Dredd, but it reminded me of the Stallone movie, and he was pretty much in classic Judge Dredd attire, as absolutely ridiculous and silly as it is, which I love that movie, although I cannot stand Rob Schneider, but I can make it work because Stallone is an absolute icon. Obviously, the Carl Urban movie is unbelievably perfect. Like, it's an absolutely perfect film, and it's really, really fun, and it's an absolute shame that the movie flopped so horribly because it's great. Why do all the really, really good movies do so badly at the box office? But this miniature reminded, like, I want to buy it. I'm gonna buy Judge Dredd. And it reminded me of an idea that I wanted to steal from Mini Wargaming from like 10 years ago. They were playing this apocalypse game where every time you took an objective, you got to draw from a deck of cards, and those cards gave you a random reinforcement to your army. Like a truly random, like I think the Matt's Tyranids got a squad of Grey Knights to just show up and join their fight. And I have a fair few pop culture miniatures that I would love to make stats for. And all of a sudden, like, don't warn anybody. Like, we're gonna play this Apocalypse game and there's this thing going on. And then all of a sudden they're drawing from a deck and Judge Dredd joins their army with his own rules. I also have from Hardcore Miniatures a couple of their Doom miniatures, which actually they've come out with more Doom minis. And I kind of want like the whole set because I like Doom a lot. I've never played video games really. I got to play some Call of Duty at my friend's house because he had one of the, I don't know if it was an Xbox or a PlayStation or how any of that works because I didn't have any of it growing up. But I've played a couple of like video games on my parents' Windows Vista computer from way back in the day. But I played Doom, the new Doom game, like the Doom 2016, and it was like a magical. Like I never played a real video game, and I was playing it like on a slightly cheap but a gaming monitor, and I had like headphones on, and all of a sudden it was like it like sucked in my whole energy into the game, and it was just amazing moving around and jumping and shooting. It was kind of wild. Like I've never really experienced a game like that. It was really, really fun. So then I went and I bought all the miniatures for it, and I've got Doom Guy, and I think I've got an Incubi, and it's just, it looked like so much fun. This game that Mini Wargaming came up with, where things just randomly come in. And I think it's a really, really fun way to handle Apocalypse, because Apocalypse games can take like, if you finish it in a day, that's a really, really fast game of Apocalypse. Although I do have Games Workshop's new Apocalypse. I guess new, it's a few years old at this point, but I've heard nothing but great things about the Apocalypse format for Warhammer 40k, and I have the box with all the tokens and things, so I'd be really interested in giving it a try because I've heard really, really good things. But yeah, just being able to bring the most random stuff, just seeing people's faces when all of a sudden they have Doom Guy added to their army, or Judge Dredd, or maybe some Fallout stuff. Maybe some rad roaches, have some units tucked in there that are just not worth it at all. One person will get Spider-Man and another person will get like, I don't know, what's the lamest thing in the world? Rob Schneider from Judge Dredd. I doubt that model exists, but if it does, I could almost paint up a Rob Schneider for the meme of it, for the absolute meme of it. I'm sure that there's a Shrek STL out there. Like I want to get truly crazy with this. I want a shelf of miniatures that are completely dumb and silly and not necessarily for a miniature war game, but literally like just for this one idea I have, just to do these just really, really silly things with battle reports. It was a really, really fun video. I wonder if I could actually find it again. Mini Wargaming puts out like 2 battle reports a week for the last like 15 years. It's absolutely wild how massive their catalog of stuff is. But man, it's just going back to X-Wing. This is even pre-X-Wing because like I was watching Mini Wargaming in like 2010, but just that energy that they had of just this little office building in Canada where these absolute nerds were just doing the nerdiest of the nerds, building boards by pouring sand onto plywood and then pouring wood stain on top of it to act as a wash. Oh, all of these lovely, lovely, beautiful things that don't really exist anymore and definitely shouldn't because they weren't good. But I remember we actually built a board like that. And man, was that sand shedding for all of time. Holy cow. Everywhere you stepped, you just hear the crunch of the sand scuffing the floor up from it being underneath your feet. It was magical. And there's so much magic now too, but nostalgia is a hell of a drug. And it just, your memories hit a little bit different to how awesome normal real life is. But yeah, Judge Dredd, a Judge Dredd miniatures game. There's pretty much a miniature game for everything. I forget who asked me, but I think I was on like a podcast and they asked me like, what would I like to see in miniature wargaming? Like what thing from, from culture would, or like what fictional universe would I like to see in miniature war games? And I couldn't answer. It all really exists. There's a Harry Potter board game. There's a Fallout miniatures game. There's dozens of Star Wars games from over the years. From the Wizards of the Coast, really gummy Star Wars strategy battles games to Shatterpoint, which looks like it's going to have some of the nicest Star Wars anything you can possibly buy. I'm really excited for a lot of those miniatures. It really, really is an amazing, exciting time. And if you want to be ready for these exciting times, there's no better place than our Patreon. We make a brand new STL terrain pack every single month. This month we have the Twisted Train Station, a lovely little station full of spike traps and all sorts of little dangers around every corner. We also make one extra episode of Eons of Battle every single week where we take a look at our viewers' miniatures and give some ideas and critiques of how to improve their painting. We host live Discord hangouts, and we have a tier where you can get your name on one of my Black Templar Space Marines and you can join the crusade. I am really, really excited to go all out and just buy a whole bunch of the weirdest, silliest miniatures I can possibly find. If you guys have any ideas for like just weird miniatures, not necessarily from the company Weird Malifaux, but just weird miniatures in general, please post them in the comments below, because like I didn't even know Judge Dredd existed until Facebook decided I should know. So I'm sure there's tons and tons of great stuff out there that I need to be aware of. Thanks for watching.